So for example, they look at Bitcoin and they say it consumes X amount of energy. And it's almost like funny because Bitcoin's energy usage is among the most transparent, it's easy to quantify and then use statistics to make it look bad or look good. So for example, it's easy to say Bitcoin uses more energy than Argentina, which sounds catastrophic, but you can also say Bitcoin uses 0.1% of global energy, which sounds like trivial.
Right.
You can also say Bitcoin is kind of competing with like the zinc industry in terms of how much energy they use. People are not concerned about zinc mining's energy usage, right? If you compare it to any large industry, it's nowhere near as big as the aluminum industry, for example, in terms of energy usage. And so you have this thing where part of why there's so much opposition, I think, to Bitcoin's energy usage is that lack of education and the ability to kind of quantify something, and then the ability to say, not only how much energy is it using, but what is it replacing? And there's all sorts of different studies, and maybe you could even cut them in half and say, even if the numbers are different, we don't know. So for example, ARC, they did an open, they open sourced some of their research, and they said, we've analyzed the banking system, and I forget the exact number, but it uses something like 20 times as much energy as the Bitcoin network. If you say, okay, all these office buildings, all these people working on things that could be automated, all these things like that, and it's actually a very large energy usage. And even if they're off by half, even if it's only half as much energy as they say, it's still this very kind of inefficient use of resources. And not enough people say, if we added this, what are we subtracting from? The same thing I think is true for like tractors. When tractors came out, if people said, well, that uses hydrocarbons, and it's like, well, you're also saving like 10 humans for every one human now to do the work, and you free up those other 9 humans to go up and make all sorts of other products and services, and you have that radically more productivity thing. So I don't know what the best way to do is to kind of make that increasingly clear to people, but I think it's just chipping away one at a time and say, one, how to actually quantify it correctly, and then two, what is it replacing? What is it competing with? What types of energy is being replaced?